Welcome to Dragon Week here at the Legendary Resistance. We're trying to get as many dragon videos out as we can.
Yeah, so this week we're actually doing a community collaboration for Monster Week 2025 Dragons with Ginny D and Pointy Hat.
Woo!
The whole purpose is to bring together a whole bunch of different community creators for tabletop RPGs, all around the theme of dragons.
Oh yeah.
So, this year, dragons, we're talking today about specifically dragon lairs.
Yes. Dragons have layers. Onions have layers. Dragons and onions, they both have layers.
So, in an effort not to drag our intro on and on, let's go.
Into the lair we go.
So, dragon lairs. Dragon lair actions, in general, are something that's really cool and unique to dragons, in general. But in the old Monster Manual for 5th edition, we actually got dragon lair actions along with the stat blocks.
Yep, they would typically take place right at the 20 initiative count, and the dragon or the lair action would occur.
Yes, but in the new Monster Manual, well, they did make dragons cooler and stronger. They left out lair actions.
We suspect it was because they didn't want to clutter up this behemoth
Yes.
of a book.
So we assume that they're probably going to release dragon lairs in whatever their new equivalent of Fizban's Treasury of Dragons is. Mm-hmm. However, in the meantime, you can still use the old dragon lair actions, and you can use all of the lair and regional effects in Fizban's. It's a wonderful book. But today we're going to be talking about ideas for creative dragon lairs that we can do at our table that are uniquely ours.
And what homebrew stuff that you are able to do, and what layers in general are for.
Yeah, so the whole point of, honestly, our YouTube channel in general is to empower everyone to make their own games legendary through creativity and communication.
Oh yeah.
So, let's kind of jump right into it and join us for our discussion where we just randomly talk about dragon lairs.
Absolutely. To start things off, we're going to talk about layers in general. So a layer action in general could be the creature that you're fighting gets more AC for one round, or the layer becomes smaller, like pieces fall off of the layer. Different things happen. There could be AoE effects that hit the ground and spread out and become difficult terrain.
Yeah. So also a great general lair action for dragons is they might roll to regain their breath weapon at the top of the round.
Oh yeah.
Or
could be nothing, could be really powerful.
General lair actions in general, I said general a lot.
Yep.
Could be regaining HP, obscuring vision, collapsing terrain, difficult terrain, or giving a bonus AC, like you said. So things that would work on any creature are perfect for your dragons.
What I really like about layer actions, and I like to add, even if it's not said, is that layer actions have to be different every round. So if one layer action is absurdly powerful, you don't want to do it every single round, otherwise the players feel hounded down by that one layer action.
Plus, mixing it up is fun.
Oh, yeah.
If every round you don't know what's going to happen, your players are going to have a good time. Like,
you can even roll for your layer action. Roll a d4 to see which ones affect.
Yeah.
Those are pretty fun.
So, that's kind of an outlook of layer actions that could apply to any dragon. Let's kind of go into layer actions by location.
Yes, the region that you're fighting in can determine what the layer action is. If you're fighting on top of a mountain, there could be a layer action of a huge gust of breeze that could knock everybody prone and push them back 10 feet or 15 feet. It could be another layer action that causes the mountain to shift and change, causing an earthquake and everyone doesn't fall. So nothing hugely massive, but could cause damage.
On the flip side, if your lair is underwater in a swamp, maybe the swamp putrefies and becomes thick to the point where you can't see, or becomes difficult terrain, or maybe rotted like plant mass reaches out and grabs your players, and they have to make a dex save to not get grabbed by the plants.
Or a strength save to pull themselves out of the mud.
Right. So think about where your dragon lair is and make some thematic lair actions to the lair itself instead of the dragon.
Oh, yeah.
So those are some cool things to do. Another action similar to that would be I have this like picture in my mind of a dragon just standing up on its massive pile of loot and just like stomping down on it and saying, "My treasure would rather belong to me." And you watch as all the coins and gems coalesce into treasure golems that attack the party.
Nice. That'd be so scary. You're going down for the treasure, and the treasure itself fights back.
Yep, the loot is literally fighting you.
That'd be crazy.
So things like that it's not necessarily specific to your type of dragon, but it's cool as a lair action.
It depends on where you are for some things like this, and this is why the lair action determines on the location.
Yeah.
But up next, we're going to talk about specifics for each type of chromatic dragon's lair actions that you could do.
And we will wildly speculate what each lair action might be for the different types of dragons.
Eventually.
And some you may have heard before, some you may never want to use ever in your life. Let's talk about things.
Oh yeah. We're going to start things off with what you claim to be as the weakest dragon out there of the chromatic types, which is the white dragon.
It is the weakest of all the chromatic dragons.
Have you seen Vox Machina?
By a lot.
That white dragon's scary.
That is not a regular white dragon. That is a Matthew Mercer white dragon, and all of his dragons were scary in the Chroma Conclave.
I guess that makes sense. They're the
But
big bads.
I digress.
So, for white dragons, they're all about ice. They're all about snow. They're all about slipperiness. They're all about difficult terrain. You could have the terrain become, like, extra slippery. You could have icicles fall from the sky and slam into the ground, doing some damage or dex save.
Yeah. And honestly, I really like the idea of them forming ice walls that wall off the party from each other and, like, separate them. On top of that, maybe every time the white dragon uses their breath weapon, you kind of homebrew that, like, the terrain changes because it's creating more ice.
Yeah, it, like, lair action casts a wall of ice. Something like that. That's pretty cool.
On top of that, white dragons are known for being the more primitive of the dragons, and they keep trophies of all their hunts.
Yeah.
And so maybe they have all these, like, pieces of creatures that they've frozen in their lair. And as a lair action, they can bring them to life as, like, rotting corpse pieces that
come to life and attack people. That's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, it's great. Your players are going to love that, actually.
It could be like a con saving throw, or everyone's speed gets reduced because of how cold it is. Something like that. Could be the slow spell once per battle.
Yeah.
That basically affects everybody. Anyway, but that's all white dragons. We're talking about the next one on our list, which is the black dragons. So,
black dragons typically live in swamps. They don't have to live in swamps, but if they do, then maybe, like we were talking about the rotting plant masses, maybe they're controlling all the rotting plant life that's coming up out of the swamp to grab you and pull you sinking down into it.
True. There could be creatures inside of the black masses too. You could spawn like tentacles. What are they called? The grasping vines and stuff like that.
True. Like, if you want to get real strong, maybe shambling mounds in upper tier play. That's a little too strong for early game, but it's a possibility.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe they just like turn all the swamp to acid. So maybe the pH of the swamp changes and it's all acid, and so everyone's AC is reduced for a round.
Tell me you're a chem major without telling me you're a chem major by saying the pH level changes.
Okay, I was a biology major?
Sorry.
Don't insult me with the whole chemistry thing.
My favorite thing, though, about the black dragons is if there's acid dripping everywhere, it could lower everybody's AC by like a D4 for a round.
Yeah.
You could roll a die and everybody's AC decreases if they're wearing metal, stuff like that.
Yeah, so a lot of cool things with your black dragons.
Oh, yeah.
So moving on, let's go to green dragons.
Poisons.
So green dragons, I really like the idea of noxious clouds.
Like clouds of gas that fills the room. Yeah.
Maybe, as your first lair action, a cloud of gas fills the room and it obscures vision. And if nobody clears it with any sort of like wind spell or air movement, then the next round it becomes poisonous because it's kind of collecting so
Right.
strongly.
Anytime you pass through, you make a con save and take a bunch of poison damage.
And then each round it gets stronger and stronger because the gas is building up.
Yeah, I do like that. Like a building effect upon each other. That's pretty nice.
So that's kind of something that I like to do with my green dragons. They also typically live in like wooded areas or caves or old towers.
Possible that like different triggers would happen and a cloud pops up underneath a player or something like that. I do like that.
So that's kind of my idea for green dragons. We'd love to hear kind of what your ideas are for these chromatic dragons. If you have used cool things in the past, or if you've seen other people use cool things, or if you are pulling from really popular podcasts or anything, what do you like to see for dragons?
Oh yeah. Let us know in the comments below and we'll chat with you about what kinds of things you like and kinds of things you don't like.
Yeah. And we've actually now reached the point in the video where we would love to take a few moments to stop and pause in a moment of silence for those who have not subscribed.
No. I'm so sorry.
Okay, blue dragons.
Moving on to the blue dragons, yeah. So blue dragons are all lightning based. They're typically in mountains. They're typically in caves in the mountains. All those kinds of things.
Yep. They're also across deserts and sand.
Flying bys and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, so they're kind of typically associated with storms, lightning damage, storms.
Wind.
So a lot of the old lair actions that were in the old books were like sinkholes and storm effects. But honestly, I like the idea that the magic from blue dragons becomes alive. It comes to life.
Yeah, like a living lightning bolt kind of thing.
Yeah, so as they're giving off lightning damage from their rend attacks and from their lightning breath,
Yeah.
maybe some of that lightning comes to life and becomes a living lightning bolt or living, I don't know, ball of energy.
Nice.
Maybe you could use like will-o-wisps as a base stat block, only make it lightning.
Lightning damage instead. Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Whatever it is you want to do, I really like the idea of the lightning from blue dragons coming to life.
Because it's so magical and so present that it keeps on attacking. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I've also had a whole bunch of like quicksand sinkholes where the fight goes on in multiple levels, and every lair action time, all the sinkholes kind of like pull people through, and so all of a sudden the fighting is happening on multiple tiers.
Ooh, multiple levels, yeah.
If you don't want to do that logistically at your table, I totally understand.
But it can be awesome. I still remember my favorite unique battle situations. Most recently, we did a sideways cube. That was fun.
Yep, fighting in a lair where the dragon, they can fly. So they don't need to be restrained to regular architecture. They can go vertically, they can go up in a door in the ceiling, and your players can't.
And if they have a barrow speed, they don't even technically sometimes need... They can put walls back behind them.
Yeah, so maybe as a lair action, all of your rooms move.
Ooh, yeah.
And like rotate, especially with blue dragons that are in the sand, really easy to do.
But enough about blue dragons. We're on to what the people typically like as the most favorite and powerful dragon, which is the red dragon.
It is also the most iconic. It's on the 5th edition DM screen. It's also right here behind us. The red dragon is known as the most iconic dragon to Dungeons & Dragons in general.
So what layer actions are we giving it?
So the lair actions for our red dragon are mostly fire themed.
Yeah. Sometimes they build layers in lava and in like volcanoes and stuff. You can have the lava explode, doing like a dex save for your players in the area.
Yeah, I like the idea of also collapsing floors. At the lair action, part of the floor collapses into lava, and then the lava comes up and bursts in an AoE wherever it was.
You could be like the dragon beats its wings and the lava spews everywhere.
Lava damage is also
Scary.
very scary. Lava deals a lot of damage in Dungeons & Dragons.
I mean, lava will do a lot of damage in real life too.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't really want to feel the effects of being buried in lava.
So with our fiery red dragons, we like to mess around with like the lava, the heat. Maybe the heat intensifies for a round and you have to like shield yourself from it and your AC goes down, or maybe you need to hide behind things as there's a fiery blast. kind of like pulling from video game mechanics.
To lose your reaction because you're taking not as much damage.
Yeah, maybe there's a big fiery buildup in the center that's going to release. You thought your player's like, it seems like this is going to release in like, I don't know,
Two rounds.
Yeah. And so they all have to hide behind walls because they know at the top of the round it's going to blast open.
Oh, yeah.
So things like that are really fun. Things that are timed. And you look at like, okay, and I'll put on the whiteboard, I'll put 2 rounds. And each round I'll erase it and put 1 round. And then they all know, oh no. And
something's happening.
They all hide as a big blast of fire goes out.
Because if you're in the fight, you would see that like something's about to erupt and you'd know that it's about to happen.
Maybe your fire dragon is at some sort of like, if you're a steampunk campaign in like a reactor room, and so the reactor bursts every so often, and so you have to hide as the reactor bursts.
Nice.
And maybe that even powers up your dragon or something. I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
It'd be fun with a blue dragon. Like
the lightning charges the whole scene.
As the electric bursts from the like magic arcane reactor, it powers up the dragon and deals damage.
Don't you dare give me ideas.
So things like that. We want to empower you all to be creative. Think about your dragon. Think about where your lair is and come up with cool, creative, unique abilities for your table.
Oh, yeah.
So don't necessarily take our ideas. You can take our ideas. Take
You
them.
can feel inspired by us and decide to go even further or do less. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, we want to make your games legendary, and we want to hear about your legendary games in the comments down below.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it, we'll share it with each other, and we'll scheme about trying to make new videos.
All right, but until next time, stay resistant.
Yes. Bye! Not to be a drag in here.
We're gonna drag you in to our video because this is the video that we're doing.
We'll try not to make this next video a drag on. We'll try not to make the next video drag on. We'll try not to. We'll try not to.